Welcome to your Tuesday edition of Chicago Now. Yay! I am so relieved Caitlin Cody is back. We missed you, Caitlin.
Oh, thanks.
It seems like you were gone for like a week.
Forever. I didn't think I was coming back, but then I realized I've got bills to pay.
She's got bills to pay.
You
the
know.
vacation is over. You made your triumphant return.
Yeah.
How was the trip? Update everybody on where you went and how it was.
We took a trip like Ponce down to Tennessee. We were in the Gatlinburg, Sevierville area. My husband's stepmom rented a cabin, and so him and his sister and all the kids, we all stayed in this place. And I think it's called Timber Tops. I'm just saying that because I had a lot of questions. Like, where is this cabin at? It's like this hidden website. Look it up if you want to go take a trip down to like Gatlinburg, Dollywood area, because they're fairly affordable. You can find these cabins there for like under $200 a night.
Wow.
In the summer. It was great.
And how many people were there in the cabin?
There were a lot of us.
Yeah, that's a really good price.
They're all different sizes, you know, and then some of them have hot tubs, and it's up there though. Like you're climbing these mountains to get to these
I
houses.
like that though. Maybe it's
Yeah.
cooler up there with the
Better
increased
views.
good
I had
views.
anxiety. Get
There,
this.
there are some tall mountains in Gatlinburg,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it's just because it's not the Rockies doesn't mean there's some
the
elevation,
Smokies.
right? Yeah, the Smokies.
So I was driving the van when we got there, and I was trying to get up to this cabin. We were kind of lost, and I was it's a hybrid van, so you have to like keep your foot on the gas. And Grady was in the back. He's like, "Why are you like drilling into the gas pedal?" Because if I didn't, it couldn't handle the incline. It was pretty nuts.
Because it kept switching between gas and electric?
I think, but I don't know.
Oh.
But it was yeah. So that was the start. So we were there from last Tuesday through the weekend, really Saturday. But I did want to mention. So we drove down, and Bodie is 1 year old. One year he turned in May. So I have the two older girls and then Bodie, and he was just not happy to be in a car seat. For those of you who have kids, you know when they turn one and they want to move, they want to move.
And you are strapped in big time. It's not those car seats are. And is he's still rear facing?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, which makes it worse, I'm sure, for the kid. You're just staring at the back of a chair.
The worst. So anyways, so we're down there, and Gatlinburg was cool. We went there for one night, saw the aquarium. Dollywood. Have you ever been to Dollywood?
No.
I've
been to Gatlinburg. I think I might have driven by the sign.
Okay.
But I didn't see it. Is it a big amusement park?
Huge.
Ooh.
Huge.
Roller coasters, the whole thing?
And it was packed, but like they have all sorts of like little shops and like things to do. They've got shows. But when we went, it was so hot. It was so hot, and my kids do not do well in the heat. So we went to this amusement park, and they ended up not even riding any rides.
Oh no!
We stood in line for like 30 minutes to get their face painted. Spent $50. I mean, it was just everything is expensive. And then we found an indoor playground, which would actually, thank goodness, Dollywood has this because it was an escape from the heat.
Yeah, was it hotter than here? Tennessee
comparable.
Heat. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then we were driving, and I told Grady the day before we left. I was like, Bodie and I could catch a flight out of Knoxville because we were considering flying, but then with the van and the rentals, it was just gonna be too expensive.
Peel away,
yeah.
Just so he didn't have to be in that car seat.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, actually,
it's not a bad
I've
idea.
got some points from a canceled flight. Let's do this.
Ooh.
So.
Oh, there we go.
There's me and the Bowman. So this was an experience by itself, and I feel like everybody can relate to this because, first of all, it was an early morning flight, which I would prefer. It was very gusty. This was on Friday? No, Saturday morning. It was gusty here in Chicago.
Okay.
The anxiety of flying
with child, or just in general?
In general, but also obviously amplified with a child because everybody's looking at you sideways. But flying is so scary. So scary. And people do it all the time, like it's not a big thing.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Caitlin, I didn't know this about you. Is this why when we all talk about taking flights and stuff, I was like, oh, no, I got kids, I'm not leaving.
Yes.
So you are not a fan of flying.
I'm not a fan.
My mom is not a fan either.
I think everyone is scared secretly, and you guys are all just putting on a front because if you're not, that doesn't make sense.
So that doesn't make sense to you. I think what I do is I go by the stats, which make it seem like flying is way, way, way safer than driving. The chances of all that.
Here's my thing. You're flying through the air, and my thought goes, sometimes cars break down. What if this plane just decided that something wasn't right?
Caitlin, I did not know this about you.
I didn't either.
So, when's the last time before this that you had hopped a flight?
Probably like 7 years ago.
You had not hopped a plane in 7 years.
7 years. I have dreams about taking off sometimes. The power and like you're going super fast and then you go up. But like, here's the other thing too. We were on American Airlines. If you didn't know, you can't pay extra for leg space if you have a kid with American Airlines. Grady paid like $40 to get me some space because if you have a baby, they've got to sit on your lap.
Yes.
And by the way, we were there and the airline said this happens a lot at O'Hare. There was a delay because of traffic control. Like they couldn't get it situated.
It's been a big issue recently.
All locked in, baby in the carrier on my lap. I've got like no space. I've got my diaper bag on my feet. I've got a coffee down here and I'm like stuck like this. I've got a guy next to me has like his arms in the rest. And 45 minutes stuck in this plane, not moving.
Come on, guy.
Situate.
45 minutes is not bad, though.
I gotta say, this was before we left.
Oh, before. Oh, no.
We hadn't taken off yet. We were supposed to have taken off.
Yeah.
And Bodie's like pulling this guy's bracelets next to me, hitting them, grabbing stuff, throwing it at him. I'm like, this poor man. And so then we finally took off. But like, you know, he paid to have a little, because I couldn't even like reach my bag. But it turns out if you have a kid, they don't let you have the spots that have more space.
Bottom line, was it a good idea in retrospect to peel away from the fam and take the flight back? Yay or nay?
Probably.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But sorry for going
are you going to be incrementally less scared of flying next time, or did this seal your
I think
current
the whole thing is awfully scary,
Okay.
and that's something that I think we need to talk about more. I think, girls, are you secretly scared of flying?
I love flying. Same.
Okay, I'm not secretly scared of it,
although
I don't like to fixate on certain inevitabilities when I don't like to picture the worst or anything.
My brain loves to do that a lot. Yeah.
Jeez. Never watch the movie Final Destination. The first one. Never ever watch that, Caitlin. Just don't watch it. No, there's the one before that. The one with the logs, I think that's 2.
Oh, was it an airplane one?
Yeah. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. All right, we got a lot to get to coming up. We are debating which city staples defined the true Chicago summer.
Okay.
There's certain boxes that need to be checked. We're going to run through the definitive list. Also, I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
Fox 32 Chicago's very own Sylvia Perez is going to be back here to talk about her new program, Tasty Chicago. And this is a special edition in honor of one of your favorite shows that is going to be making its, season 4 now, debut tomorrow?
I think so. The Bear, huh?
The Bear.
I love that. We actually had one of our very own Chicago
I saw him.
Homegrown men from The Bear on the show this morning. I got a picture with him.
Yeah, he's tall. He's tall.
He is
fit.
tall. Tall gentleman.
All right, also wellness culture.
Okay.
What is it and how can you get involved? We are breaking it down with a Chicago content creator.
I love that.
Also trending, this is really interesting, Caitlin.
Oh.
This is a new bar that is coming to Chicago. It's a sports bar. Countless sports bars in the city of Chicago, but there's something very different and special about this one. It is completely devoted to women's sports, exclusively. It is the first ever bar dedicated entirely to women's sports. It is opening in Logan Square, 3017 West Armitage. I think that's right, at California and Armitage. The vibe is vintage women's sports bar from the future. So that's a little bit of a little oxymoron there. Vintage, but from the future, and I like this. Now I'll explain. Disco balls in the bathrooms, but old school trophies and memorabilia from local athletes, and every screen showing women's sports. And here's something even cooler. The bar was founded by 2 college best friends, former rugby teammates. They were the co-captains of the rugby team where they went to college, and they wanted to build a space that celebrates women, athletes, and their fans. Mm-hmm. And it's called Babes.
I like the name.
Babe, I didn't realize this, was Babe Didrikson Zaharias, a legendary 1932 Olympian and the only athlete of any gender to win individual medals in running, throwing, and jumping events. So, Babes.
You get it,
What do you think? What do you think, Caitlin?
What are
Good
they going to
concept?
be? I want to see what they're serving. I wonder if I could pull up their menu.
What do you think of the concept, though? All women's sports. This could be like, the Caitlin Clark effect, the Simone Biles. You know what I'm saying? There's Serena. I mean,
well, that's what I wonder. Okay, so what are they going to be serving these people to draw in the women? Because you think of a sports bar, it's dark. They got beer.
Are you saying that women's sports is not enough of a draw on their own?
I don't think it's as big as men's. Now, this is unique, and I think maybe the people who are, because women's sports, we are, advancing that forward.
Yes,
of course, on
yes,
all platforms
absolutely.
and all sports. I love that, but I do think it's
a tougher draw. I mean, economically speaking,
but that's
yes,
what I mean.
The numbers,
if they make this super fun for women to come and hang out, that's what I wonder. That's what I was gonna look. I bet they have good food. I bet it's not just bar. You're thinking beers.
Tater
They
tots
probably have
and
some delicious
draft.
food.
Yeah.
Let's
get the menu going.
Babes Bar, Chicago menu.
Babes Bar.
Because you're gonna want to go there, maybe with your girlfriends, have a little bite to eat, and also get a good bar beverage. You know what I mean? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I love it. I think that I haven't heard of anything like this. I think we should definitely do a Good Day Chicago live shot, or maybe a Chicago Now live shot out there. Maybe it'd be hard during the morning show because it's a bar. Who's there in the morning? Go ahead.
Sorry, the food.
Yes.
But so they have 55 beers, they said, but they have diverse wines, classic cocktails, some of their own created cocktails, spirit flights. You could get a flight, which, I love beer. Look at how cute this is, you guys.
Yeah.
See, I think this is going to be a great opportunity for some photo ops.
Oh, look at that. They got the the Cubs winning flag out there.
Oh, yeah. So they've got, for food, Chicago-style hot dogs. So people can come to Chicago. This may be the very Chicago place to visit.
Yeah.
They've got bratwurst. They also have gluten-free vegetarian options. And they also have a reading library with a focus on liberation-themed texts.
A library, so you can just go in there and hang out, it sounds like.
That's what I mean. I feel like it's going to be like,
I think it's worth checking
super
out
cool.
for sure.
It looks, the pictures, it looks so cute. This 70s style is darling. The bright colors, I love their logo. For babes, by babes.
Yes,
I'm
called
obsessed.
babes. All right, let's do it.
Let's
head out there on a field trip. Number 2.
Yeah.
With summer comes wedding season. I cannot believe this, Caitlin.
Okay.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but
yeah.
Do you remember how much you?
Oh, I do.
Do you want to share?
Well,
no pressure.
Here's my thing. Make your budget, plan to triple it.
Oh yeah.
Make your budget, plan to triple it.
I think we went DIY wedding. Okay. Here's the headline though. National average cost of a wedding, $33,000.
Yeah.
$33,000. In Illinois, of course, like everything else, it is even higher, $38,100. So in 2024, the average cost per wedding guest, $610.
Oof.
$610.
Oof.
Here we go. Here is putting it kind of into context over the previous 5 years. So people were inviting more guests back in 2019. The weddings have gotten smaller. That's really interesting.
COVID.
The wedding parties have gotten smaller too.
Yeah, 2020.
Average number of vendors, that's kind of remained
sense.
constant. Honeymoon, yeah. Well, obviously in 2020 during the pandemic, only 56% of the couples went on a honeymoon. Destination weddings, look at that. Of course, they dropped during the pandemic. These are good numbers right here.
Cost per guest, $304. No way.
But now it's $610. So it bumped up.
No, how do you figure? What are we talking about?
$610.
Maybe $100 a person for food. What else are you paying for?
Well, the stuff adds up. You got the band.
Per person?
You got the band.
Oh,
you got the rental
all of those
space.
things.
Yeah. Total cost of the wedding per guest. So, but that is so wild. My parents, this is adorable, but they're like, Anthony, your mother and I, we got married in the church and had the reception in the basement.
Yeah.
They had, it was literally, they had a cake.
Yeah.
Of course, they had a cake. They had This is a new thing, these elaborate weddings where you're spending tens of thousands of dollars. My parents say in their day, it was simple. They just had the reception in the reception hall of the church. Cake.
Yeah.
Styrofoam cups with the OJ.
If you could go back, would you do it any different?
I don't think so. The most stressful thing in my mind about the wedding was managing the guests
100%.
and who you're inviting and who isn't invited. We wanted to do a smaller, and again I say smaller in today's world, it's 125. Remember, we were targeting like 125. But as you know, Caitlin, it's really hard to meet that, to work backwards from there, because you have certain friends that if you invite them, that opens up a whole other can of worms. Like, well, if they're invited, then that group's got to be invited, and so on and so forth. And then if you invite certain members of one side of the family, it's got to be reciprocated on the other side.
You invite your single friend, do you give them a +1?
That's exactly all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that to me was the most stressful part. How about you?
Something I wish I would have done differently. We spent a lot on a photographer, which the pictures turned out beautifully, but I wish that we would have maybe gone a little cheaper with the pictures and did a lump sum with a video, because we didn't have a video from our wedding.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought at the time, like, I'm never going to watch this again. I think I I would have liked a video. I regret that.
Okay.
But it was, looking back, I think it's a great time to get everybody together, people in your family that you might not see very often and they don't see each other very often, kind of like a family reunion type situation.
Totally.
So everybody can gather, but you don't need to spend the money.
No, you don't need to spend $610 per guest.
And it's going to be a whirlwind, and you're not even going to it goes by like this, and what happened? Because you're going to be distracted too with your photographer. They're going to be pulling you guys aside, trying to take pictures. I don't even think I said hi to everybody at the wedding.
It's so hard.
And we didn't have a big wedding either.
But the thing is, you know what? Guests at this point, they know that it's not like you're going to a wedding to spend time with the bride and groom. They're there for the occasion and to make sure they're in the audience and to show their face.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. It is a blur after it's a whirlwind, and you're like on the plane on your honeymoon or wherever. You weren't on a plane, I don't think. Or were you?
Well, we were not. No.
Okay, yeah. Well, now I know why.
Wait. Yes, we did. We went to Yosemite. We did fly.
Oh, nice.
Year 2, we did
Yosemite,
fly.
Beautiful. We went out in that direction.
I think back in the day I was braver though. 100%. I don't
Post
even
kids,
think,
you got.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
For sure. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. But
Okay.
weddings are expensive. They're. We've got a couple in here
Glad
that
that's
are planning some
in
weddings.
the rearview mirror.
Okay.
All right. Number 3 trending topic today.
Yeah.
Magic
Psilocybin.
mushrooms.
Ooh, okay.
Caitlin, I know you're a huge fan of these because you are super adventurous. He's the psychonaut here.
Sure.
Caitlin Cody. Psilocybin, that's the active compound found in magic mushrooms, we are told, could alleviate depression for at least 5 years after a single dose. This is according to a new study presented last week at the Psychedelic Science Conference in Denver.
Okay.
I'm guessing wouldn't change your mind.
Not right now. No, I'm not depressed.
Mm-hmm.
If I was depressed, it might be different.
I
think sometimes you can be desperate for help.
Oh, absolutely.
And it for 5 years. That's huge.
No. This actually doesn't surprise me at all. And there's a lot of studies that are coming back with these kinds of results. I did a really fascinating story a couple of years back. I interviewed a guy and he was very candid about his alcoholism. He said, Anthony, I was drinking 33 drinks a day in one sitting. Like, it took him a good part of the day. He's like, I was so bad that I knew when I was going to binge, I would take the following Monday off because I would have an all weekend hangover. This guy was drinking 33 drinks in a day. His doctor said, if you don't stop, you will be dead. Within 5 years, you will be dead.
How old was he?
He was in late 20s. So
Holy
what he did
smokes.
was, late 20s, what he did was he was able to get involved in a clinical trial out of NYU, which involved 3 doses of psilocybin spaced out 6 months apart. So over the course of a year, 6 months later, a second dose, 6 months after that, a year later, a third dose. And I interviewed him 5 years after his last drink, and he had not only did he hadn't touched a drink, he felt zero desire for the drink. And I asked him about his experience on psilocybin, and he said, well, first of all, this is a controlled environment. There's no risk factor. You're in a clinical environment with a doctor there supervising you. And he's like, yeah, so they put on this music, and remember one of his stories was he had these visions. And I was like, all right, well, tell me, what'd you see? Mm-hmm. He said, I'm in the desert, and I see in the sand, I saw an empty bottle. It was like an empty alcohol bottle, and that was all. That was what he remembered from his first thing. But yeah, those are my memories. It's been a while since I reported that story, but that's not uncommon for alcoholism, and I'm not surprised
it's
having
addiction in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's some rewiring effect that it has.
That's what I was wondering. Is like, how can you pinpoint the depression or your alcoholism? Do you get therapy in between? Do you talk while you're on the drug?
Question.
Are you talking through your
No,
alcoholism?
you're not. But this is key. He was doing talk therapy in between all the sessions, so it was supplemented by talk therapy. So it's not like, oh, here you go, Caitlin, who's depressed or whatever, magic pill, and do it. It wasn't like that at all. This man was supported through that whole year with therapy sessions one-on-one with the therapist between the doses. So it's a combo. There's something about the compound and this controlled environment, and then the talk therapy in between. So it's not like free. So this guy, actually, I remember when I talked to him, Caitlin, he was really against all these states rushing to legalize psilocybin. Very against it.
You have to do it the right way.
Exactly, because he was like, if we open the floodgates now, we're gonna have horror stories where people walk off a balcony or walk into traffic, or you know what I'm saying? Like if it's not done right, he's like, the downside could be the downside should be catastrophic. So he is a big proponent. I remember this is an aspect of the story, a big proponent of these clinical trials being done methodically, FDA approval, controlled environment. So that's another thing that is being explored right now. And in this most recent study, this is cool too. Psilocybin has also been explored as a potential treatment for postpartum depression, which right now it's affecting 1 out of 7 new moms.
Don't get me started. Actually, get me started. Do you want me to tell you a little bit about my experience?
Did you have it?
Postpartum? You guys. You guys. It was with Birdie, my first. I have never had any issues in my past with mental health ever. So I had Birdie, and it was a pretty traumatic start because I was induced a week late, which is also interesting because 40 weeks they consider you're ready, you're probably going to have the baby. I think full term is 39 weeks. Anyway, at 41 weeks, doctors will a lot of times say, okay, well, we're going to induce you because you're a week late. But afterwards now, years later, I look back, and a lot of times 42 weeks for the first pregnancy is normal. So I didn't really, 41 weeks, I was already a week into my maternity leave. I was like, all right, let's get this going. It didn't work. I got induced. It didn't work. So eventually, like 2 days later, while in labor, they gave me a C-section. Anyways, immediately in the recovery room, I was laying there with this new baby, new mom, and in my mind, like now I can talk about it, but at the time it was super scary. I thought if they hand me this baby, the baby's gonna fall off the bed. So I'm panicking in my mind, but my mom and my husband were in the room with me in the recovery room, and I was so scared to say anything because I didn't want them to get scared, like, oh no, she's crazy, because I didn't want to hold the baby because I was scared that I was gonna drop the baby. And this was months afterwards. For 3 months, and for the first time, I did feel depressed. And depression is, for me, it was an experience of feeling like not excited about anything. It was really a spooky place to be mentally, where nothing seems, there's no point to anything. The anxiety was, the intrusive thoughts were so unbearable. For the first time, I saw a psychologist to talk to say, hey, am I okay? Like, are these thoughts normal? She gave me a book saying, like, yes, intrusive thoughts are normal. But I think it's a hormonal thing too. I got out of it, and I didn't have it with Darcy. I didn't have it with Bodie, thank God. But the postpartum depression and anxiety, like, anytime I have a friend or a family member who has gotten pregnant for the first time, I just say, hey, you might want to reach out to that person and just say, if you want to talk, like, just know that all of the mental stuff that's going on in your head right now is normal. It's normal. But there's a difference between depression and anxiety and psychosis. And I think that's where I was with the intrusive thoughts, like, what's the line? And from what I understand, the difference is when you are in psychosis, it's you believe what your thoughts are, what thoughts you're having. I know I got to wrap it up. I'm talking a lot. The thoughts that you're having are wrong. If you think that, oh no, I don't want to hurt my baby, then you're in just anxiety, depression. But if you think, oh, I want to hurt my baby and I'm supposed to hurt my baby, that's psychosis. So there's a fine line there of like when it's not okay and when you can get therapy.
It's one of those things. I mean, whether it's psilocybin, talk therapy, the fact that it is being talked about more. Hopefully this is an effective treatment. Caitlin, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that, and I know it is everything. It is everything.
You guys.
Okay, one thing that does always boost our mood is food in Chicago.
Absolutely.
Food in Chicago boosts our mood, and our coworkers boost our mood as well, especially when they're named Sylvia Perez, and especially
Sylvia,
when
are you in here?
She's here to talk about food in Chicago. I can't wait to hear about her new program, Tasting Chicago. And she's got a very special edition to talk about that comes right as season 4 of The Bear is about to
Woo!
debut and premiere. We will be back with Sylvia to talk all things Tasting Chicago when we come back.
You can't do a story about Chicago restaurants and the Bear without, of course, coming to Mr. Beef. I mean, that is where this whole story starts. Oh my God, Jeff Barrow! Sylvia, the Food Network, the Sandwich King. What are you doing?
I'm doing a Sandwich Kingdom review. What are you doing here? Why are you encroaching on my one thing I have in this town, this godforsaken town, is my sandwich review. That's good beef. They make this in house. Absolutely, for sure. The beef? Thin. Look at that.
This is great.
I think I know exactly what cut of beef they're using too.
What?
Probably like eye of round or gooseneck or some form of it. It's nice. Got a good little chew to it.
I was thinking gooseneck.
Hey, you love gooseneck. One thing that does say that on your LinkedIn profile.
Loves gooseneck.
Loves gooseneck. You can do out of 6 star points. You can always put a decimal in there. Go to the 100th if you want. I don't care. First, I'm judging this. I'm very anal about beefs.
Okay.
That's on my LinkedIn profile. I'm going to give it a 5 for a Chicago beef. One of the legends.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is definitely top 3 in the city.
Ooh.
I'm going to give it a 5.85 Chicago star points out of 6. What are you doing?
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give it a 6. You know why? Because Mr. Beef welcomed us with open arms to come visit him, and this is one great Italian beef.
They're so good.
Aren't they?
They're so good.
So the Bear is back.
The Bear is back June 25th, okay?
Season 4.
Season 4, and there are so many ties in Chicago to the Bear because obviously it's all based on a Chicago chef whose brother dies. He owns an Italian beef store. His brother is a fine dining chef. He moves back to Chicago to take over the Italian beef place and eventually turns that into a fine dining place. Are you guys into the show at all? Yeah?
I am halfway through season 2.
Oh, it
so
gets
I'm
better.
still behind.
Okay.
I'm still behind, but I'm absolutely loving it. In fact, the most recent episode I saw was one of the most incredible single episodes
Which
of television.
one was it?
It was the one where they flash back to the Christmas and Jamie Lee Curtis, the
Oh my
mom.
gosh, Caitlin, wait
With
till you
the
see
car
that
through
one.
the house. I saw it. It was good.
Okay. That one
The
was
acting.
really deep, wasn't
The
it?
acting,
Yes.
it was
We
so...
can kind of relate to it in a way.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
And
but
as a Chicago foodie, I bet you are just obsessed with all the
Love-
restaurant mentions.
Love watching it because, so that's what we decided to do. There are so many ties to the Bear. Mr. Beef, of course, is where the whole concept starts. That's the Italian beef store. So Jeff Morrow, I love you. He's so much fun. Jeff does this thing where he goes and you know how Dave Portnoy does the pizza, barstool pizza thing? What Jeff does is he goes to Chicago sandwich shops. He goes in incognito, buys a sandwich, comes back out and tries it and gives it a rating based on the Chicago star method.
I love that,
the
6-pointed star.
Yes. So that's what we did. We did that together. But we also went to Ever Restaurant, which is the fine dining restaurant that ever since the Bear started, it's probably been shut down 3 or 4 times for an entire week just so they can shoot the Bear there. So those scenes, all those scenes
with the fancy
in the
restaurant.
fancy restaurant. I didn't know that. I thought that was a set. Okay,
nope, that was shot at Ever.
Where is Ever?
Ever is in the West Loop.
Okay.
And we, in addition to visiting Ever, we also went to its sister bar called After. How cute is that?
Ever
because
After.
the Copenhagen scenes were shot at After. Here's what's cool about Ever. So Ever is fine dining at its best. I'd say it's one of the premier fine dining restaurants in the country for sure. Absolutely, 2 Michelin stars. There's a scene in The Bear where one of the main characters is training to do something, training to learn how to be a fine dining waiter. So Jake and I did this dinner and a movie. We went to Ever Restaurant. Jake polished forks because there's an episode called Forks, okay?
Yes, I remember
so
this
Jake
one.
polished the forks.
Yes.
I was the expediter, so I had to call out the orders. Can I tell you how nerve-wracking that was?
Like in real life.
In real life, I'm in the kitchen calling out the orders, you know, mushrooms and caviar, 20 on 23, and I had somebody, it's like your air traffic controller. It is so intense. And after a while, though, I got into a groove, and I was like lamb kebabs, 24 stat, and they're like, Sylvia, that's a medical term. That is not a restaurant term. Right? But we had so much fun, and there's a scene in The Bear where one of the main characters, because the thing about Ever Restaurant, these fine dining restaurants, when you're sitting and eating, you're not noticing it, but they're not.
They're watching you?
They're watching and they're listening, okay? Oh. Because they want to make sure everything is perfect.
Oh my.
So there's a scene in The Bear where the main character is, you know, he's a waiter and he's supplying things to the people who are eating there. And he hears the woman say, my only regret is since I've been in Chicago, I haven't had a chance to try deep dish pizza. So you then see him like run down the street and he orders a deep dish pizza and he brings it back to this fine dining restaurant. And so the next course, lo and behold, they lay this pizza, which they've made into a beautiful shape because you can't just have, and the woman got to try her deep dish pizza and they're blown away. So I asked Curtis Duffy and Michael Muser from Ever, I'm like, is that something you guys really do? And they said, yes, we do that. We listen, we pay attention. In fact, if you're left-handed and they're noticing that you're left-handed, this blew my mind. They will come over and give you a left-handed fork. They'll move your stuff over to the side so that it's more comfortable. These subtle nuances. And they said the reason they do this is because this is not a cheap meal and they know it. And so when you come, you should be blown away. You need to leave that restaurant going, wow, what an experience that was.
With the restaurant like Ever, is the menu listed online? Or is this like very special?
Do what they want to do?
Well, they do. They oftentimes do like a seasonal tasting menu. Some fine dining restaurants, we did one that changes its menu every single day, but that's not the norm. But they'll go through like a seasonal period because it all depends on, you know, what's growing, what's fresh, what's plentiful. A lot of it depends on the farmers market. So, but Curtis Duffy does this dish that he is very famous for. And he used to work at the Peninsula Hotel years ago. And he does this crab dish, and it comes in this beautiful like V-shaped glass. And there's liquid, and inside that liquid there's some crab and there's some fresh vegetables. But above that liquid, there is a hard cover. It almost feels like an ice cover, okay? And in order to eat it, and it's got like a little sweetness to it, you crunch it down and then you mix it all up. It's his like signature dish that he's known for.
Do you know what it's called?
For you. I can't remember. In fact, I think I asked
him. Is it going to show? Are you showing that on your show on Tasting Chicago?
So it is. You'll see it, I think, in the dinner and the movie segment with Jake and I. Okay. So here's what we do for Tasting Chicago. First, we go, and I got to talk to you guys about this. we go to Vito and Nick's. Are you familiar with Vito and Nick's? I know
The
you are.
tavern pizza.
Tavern style pizza.
Okay.
Caitlin,
I've never had it, by the way. I've just seen it in stories, and I've always.
You've got to go.
Yeah.
So this place, Caitlin, tomorrow they're celebrating 105 years in existence.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So what they're known for, it's a South Side staple. They're known for their super duper thin crust. And I don't know what they do. We do make it. You'll see me trying to make it. I get yelled at by the owner, like, you're doing this all wrong. But it's a super thin crust. And when you actually bite into it, it doesn't crumble. It stays. And it is so delicious. And the reason we went there is because when the cast and crew of The Bear are in Chicago, they go to Vito and Nick's to get pizza to bring it over to the cast and crew.
Wow.
Yeah, and Vito and Nick's is like a no-frills restaurant. You can't make reservations. You have to pay with cash. They do not deliver. If you want their pizza, you have to go to them, which is probably why you haven't had a chance to try it
One
yet.
location.
They used to have 2, now they have 1.
Okay.
Rose is a second generation. They have 4 generations in the kitchen working for them right now. It's such a fun place. Yes, you know who used to be a huge fan was Mike Flannery and Corey McFerrin. They used to go there all the time.
So it's the crust. What else? Like, is the sauce different?
Well, that's what's so funny. I said to her, I said, what's the secret sauce? She goes, no, it's not the sauce, it's the crust.
It's the crust.
It's the crust. And some people claim that they were one of the first to invent tavern style, although there's a big debate, and you don't claim to be the first of any kind of pizza thing in Chicago without getting into a fight,
you'll get into a battle.
Yeah, but so we go to Vito and Nick's first. We celebrate 105 years with them.
Fun.
Super
great.
fun. Then we have our dinner and a movie at Ever Restaurant, where Jake and I are actually working at the restaurant. And then we go to After Bar, where we create some cocktails that you can make at home. And then we end it with Jeff Morrow and I at Mr. Beef.
What
And
a
it's so much
lineup.
fun. And when I was at Mr. Beef, I talked to 2 New Yorkers who had never been, and they were blown away.
From The Bear? That's why they went?
Well, they'd watched The Bear,
Yeah.
and they decided they had to come and try it. And they had never been, they'd never heard of Jardinera, right? And then here's the coolest thing. When I asked the workers at Mr. Beef, what's the most common question you get? Because the lines are long now because of The Bear. They say everybody wants to know if Carmy is in the back room. Like, is he
Like
back
he's just
there?
there.
Jeremy Allen White?
Oh, yeah. And they say yes, he
So
is.
this
When-
is a
when can
really
we
fun
check out this episode? This sounds
it is
awesome.
Now, it is so much fun. It is now online, fox32chicago.com. It is on our Fox app. You can watch it on YouTube. Super duper
is great,
fun.
I'm
Sylvia.
jealous of you and
It's
Jake.
a blast.
What a fun
It's a
assignment.
blast. Oh, guess what my next one is? You'll have me back for that.
Okay. What?
We are doing 5 hidden gem patios in Chicago.
Ooh, hidden gem patios.
I was challenged to hit 5 spots in one day, and can I tell you, it was so much fun. And I went to bed
Did
by
you get a lot of
8:15 that
pictures?
night.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we shot tons of videos.
I am-
That's
I
the
bet
next
it's
one.
I love a good rooftop.
Yeah,
and
I
a
know.
hidden gem.
Yes.
Some hanging
Yeah, because
lights,
there's the
maybe?
marquee
Yes.
rooftop.
Wait till you
Okay,
see this one.
Sylvia.
We did it
Awesome
in one fell
stuff.
swoop. It's so much fun.
Tasting Chicago,
Yep.
Sylvia Perez. Everybody
Please
can't
tune
wait
in.
to check out the episode. Now, if we're going to eat a lot, we got to undo some of that and talk about wellness, eating well. And coming up right after this short break, we are going to check in with the work of Chicago fitness influencer Hannah Mendeville of Self-Care and the City fame. So stay with us.
10:45. Thank you for watching Chicago Now. So nowadays, wellness culture seems to be taking over the algorithm on social media, with more young people prioritizing social connection, health, and a balanced lifestyle. So one Chicago content creator in the mix is Hannah Mendeville. She's at selfcare_and the city. Good morning, Hannah. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Good morning.
Good morning. So you are passionate about this, making events for people to live a healthier life, including alcohol-free events, hosting workout experiences, and helping people build meaningful communities. So what got you started in this?
About 6 years ago, I decided that I wanted to start prioritizing my health. I took a month off from drinking alcohol and I just stuck with it. And with removing alcohol, I just added more positive activities and events and filled up my calendar with just more positive wellness-oriented experiences. And I wanted to showcase that to other people who might be, looking for the same things across Chicago.
Hannah, let me ask you this. Caitlin, I'm sure it's the case for her too. On our social media, the wellness influencers, there's no shortage. Let's just say that. There's no shortage of fitness folks, wellness folks, nutrition people. Tell us what sets your feed, your channel, apart from the others.
I definitely think the more the fitness aspect, but also with all of the different events that are curated across the city, but also the alcohol-free aspect of it as well. I think the movement of more like sober curiosity is a newer experience in the city, and people don't necessarily always know, where these events are, what these, non-alcoholic brands are. So I really like to showcase that and, so that everyone else can get the opportunity to uncover these brands and experiences.
So in a city like Chicago, you just mentioned, you point out the different things that people can do that don't include alcohol. I see a lot of videos there of races and things, so you're doing wellness in all aspects. So can you kind of hit on the main points? Are you talking about sleeping and eating healthy and exercising and getting mental health therapy? Like what are you covering here?
That's definitely something I think, holistically that everyone, can add positive, health and wellness benefits and tweaks to their life. I think that's definitely personalized for each individual. But for me personally, I'm really big I'm a very experience driven person, especially in such an awesome city like Chicago. So I really like showcasing different health and wellness style events across the city. I'm a brand ambassador with Strength in the City. So we host different pop-up events throughout the city monthly, and then we also host a big fitness festival coming up here in September. I also like to do different run clubs, sunset Pilates, things like that. So just letting everyone know, what these events are and how you can get involved.
I love the fact that your feed is focused on, in many cases, sobriety and going alcohol-free. These trends, I don't want to call them trends, but I want to get your take on this, Hannah. Sober-ish or sober-curious or California sober, all these phrases are kind of floating around these days. Chicago, as we report frequently, we are a city of bars. You know what I mean? There's a lot of taverns around Chicago. Is this soberish or sober-curious movement here to stay? And if it is, can we still navigate Chicago in a fun way without the booze?
Absolutely. I definitely do think it's here to stay. There's more brands that are emerging. There's more people that are reevaluating their relationship with alcohol, whether they, want to take a break from it completely, or they just want to, have the option to have, maybe a low ABV or a mocktail instead. I think a lot of people are just, making some lifestyle changes, but I think that what has really changed is having these options at all. So having these different options, being able to still go to these really cool bars, or even some of those more like neighborhoody style bars. I've been surprised that they, have non-alcoholic beers, where I wouldn't have necessarily expected that. I still go out with my coworkers for happy hours after work, but I just drink non-alcoholic drinks, and my coworkers do whatever they want to do. And I'm confident in the lifestyle choice that I made for myself, and I just want to show other people that they can have a good time without alcohol as well.
If someone's watching and they're hearing you say that you're part of this organization and you're going out with your coworkers, what if it's someone who doesn't have friends here in the city and they kind of want to try these events, but they're scared to go alone?
Yeah, I would say that's definitely, part of it. Sometimes, when you're doing something new or different, changing your lifestyle, it can be a little bit challenging and awkward in the beginning. But I would just encourage people to show up to some of these events, because I guarantee you they're not the only one that's showing up maybe by themselves or for their first time. I have met so many amazing, awesome friends through social media and through some of these events that, they went to an event by themselves. I might have went to an event by themselves, and now we've been friends for almost like 3 to 4 years now. So it's really just putting yourself out there, and you never know, you could walk away with a really great friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. Take that first step. One thing I'm curious to ask you as well is if you think there's any factor that you would attribute this trend to, like this move toward not drinking so much. Was it a book that came out? Is it from celebrities? Is it from fitness influencers? Is it from science? Or is it like a combination of all these things?
I think it's definitely a combination of things. I think COVID definitely kind of put a spotlight on people's like drinking habits, and like state of their mental health as well. And for me personally, when I stopped drinking, like I said, I took that month off to kind of reevaluate some things in my life, and I turned to other, influencers or other people in sober spaces. Other people have written, books like the Quit Lit books and podcasts and things like that. And I think the more that people started trying to end the stigma of not drinking for whatever reason that might be, I think that the movement just got louder and louder. And I think, our community asking for drinks, wanting to see mocktails or non-alcoholic beers or whatever on menus at restaurants, wanting to see more programming throughout the city that wasn't just focused on alcohol. And I'm grateful that people have listened. And now, it's creating a larger movement and more opportunities for people to still have a good time without drinking.
I love it. I love the movement. All right, Hannah Mendeville with Self-Care and the City. Thank you so much for coming on Chicago Now. I really appreciate it. Good luck to you. We'll be following.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're back to wrap up the show right after this, so stay with us. Chicago Now. Got a little bit of time before we sign off, so we're going to play a little game of This or That with Caitlin Cody here, and this is the This or That Chicago Summer Edition.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
So now that it's officially summer, right, because of the solstice, how does that work?
Yeah, that's right. Well, the meteorological summer is 3 months long, but I like it better that way. It's easier. Let's keep it clean.
Exactly. All right. So we've been talking a lot about food. Let's settle the debates that define a true Chicago summer before we go. Caitlin Cody, tavern style or deep dish?
In the summer?
Summer.
Tavern.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Music festivals or concerts?
Depends on the age. For me, a concert, but for the youngins, summer screams music festivals.
Lollapalooza. It's so funny. If there's a band at Lolla that I really just have to see, I would bite the bullet and go. But
no, you wouldn't.
I would. If it was if there was like a couple of bands, I would consider doing it. But when I see the early August heat and
just
all these 20-something, I'm like, I want to be the old man there. No, thanks. No gracias.
Sure.
Lincoln Park Zoo or Shed Aquarium?
The zoo.
Okay.
You can do the aquarium anytime.
You could do the aquarium all winter.
You know?
That's right. Or during a heat wave.
Free. Just go walk through. It's so
love
fun. The best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gibberito? Or Italian beef? I don't think I know what a jibarito is. What is that?
Jen is pulling it up.
Picture's worth 1,000 words. While she's pulling that up,
I think the beef, because the beef.
I can't imagine anything being above the Italian beef.
Yeah. For summertime, maybe.
Oh yes, the plantain. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait,
I just
what is
basically
this delectable
to answer
item?
everyone's question, even though my last name is Ponce, I'm not Puerto Rican. I am Mexican, which is probably why I didn't know what this was, by name anyway. But I've had one of those. There's a place called.
Oh my! Look at the one on the top left.
Oh my
I
gosh,
want
what's
that.
the name of that place?
That looks so
good. They're so good. Where did Cafe Colau on Chicago Avenue, I believe. You can get an unbelievable.
Yum!
Jibarito.
I choose that one. Sorry, beef.
All right.
We'll do the beef in the winter.
Lakeshore Drive or the side streets? Great questions. I love these questions.
Lakeshore Drive. You got to see Lake Michigan in the summer.
It is beautiful. Although there's some pretty amazing side streets too. Some of the tree line. Webster is a beautiful east-west street.
We'll do
there's
that
some
for
good
the fall.
ones.
Let's do side
Yeah.
streets
Oh, when
in
the
fall.
leaves are changing.
Yeah.
Good call, Caitlin.
You know?
All right. Yeah, we are speaking summer here. Mario's Italian lemonade or rainbow cone? I still have yet to try the rainbow cone. I'm going to go rainbow cone.
But I would say that too. I will say this: when we were at Dollywood and hot as heck, we got a frozen lemonade, and it really cools you off.
It does. It's so refreshing.
In summer, I mean, you wouldn't really want a frozen lemonade in the winter times.
We got 3 more to get to in only 20 seconds, so we got to blaze through these last 3.
Wrap.
Chicago Architecture Tour or the Speed Dog at Navy Pier?
Architecture
Tour.
Get on the boat.
Bigger headache to locals, NASCAR or Lala? NASCAR. And then finally, Air and Water Show or Taste of Chicago?
Air and Water Show.
Me too, I agree. You can at least find shade at the Air and Water Show. Taste of Chicago.
Well,
can't go wrong because we live in the greatest city, the greatest summer city in the world, Chicago, Illinois. And we are back with more Chicago Now, 10 a.m. mañana. Have a great day, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday edition of Chicago Now. Yay! I am so relieved Caitlin Cody is back. We missed you, Caitlin.
Oh, thanks.
It seems like you were gone for like a week.
Forever. I didn't think I was coming back, but then I realized I've got bills to pay.
She's got bills to pay.
You
the
know.
Vacation is over. You made your triumphant return.
Yeah.
How was the trip? Update everybody on where you went and how it was.
We took a trip, like Ponce, down to Tennessee. We were in the Gatlinburg, Sevierville area. My husband's stepmom rented a cabin, and so him and his sister and all the kids, we all stayed in this place. And I think it's called Timber Tops. I'm just saying that because I had